Brachos Daf Mem has two Mishnayos in it. From the beginning until the first Mishnah discusses the halachos of if you said a hefsek, you interrupted between your bracha and your eating of the bread. It also talks about the proper method of eating bread in a meal with salt, with dips. Then it takes a bit of a detour, and it talks about proper urination technique, and then it lists off a number of healthy practices. Then it discusses Rabbi Yehuda's shita that there's different brachas for different vegetables. Now we get to a Mishnah which talks about if you said the wrong bracha, when you're yotze, when you're not. Along the way, the Mishnah defines what was the fruit of the Eitz Hadas. The Gemara talks about shahakol. The Gemara tries to discuss many different ways you could possibly say the wrong text of the bracha. If you said the right bracha but you phrased it wrong, or if you said bracha in the wrong language, or if you say bracha and you left out the name Hashem, or if you didn't mention Malchus, Melech HaElam. What's the status of all these brachas? That takes us to the next Mishnah, which talks about shahakol. It lists a number of foods that are shahakol. The Gemara will also list foods that are shahakol, a little bit more. And the Gemara spends a while trying to find what noivois are, one of the items on the list. The Gemara begins by discussing what kind of speech would be a hefsek between saying a bracha and eating the food. If it is a hefsek, it would require one to say a bracha again. So the Gemara discusses things which are naturally part of the eating process, that's not a hefsek, and something which is not part of the eating process would be a hefsek. So the Gemara says as follows. Rav says if somebody says between his bracha and his eating, he says, here, take a piece of the bread that I cut from the bread that I made a bracha on, he says that, and that's in between, so that's not a hefsek, because it has to do with the eating. Rabbi Yochanan says, if he says pass the salt, pass the dips, that's also not a hefsek, doesn't have to say a bracha again. However, Rabbi Yochanan says if he says, hey, can you go feed the cows, that is a hefsek. What does it have to do with the eating? Rav Shesha says no, that has to do with the eating, because you're not allowed to eat until you have fed your animals, like the pasuk says, first it says, Hashem says, I'm going to feed your animals. Then he says, and afterwards you can eat and be full. Now the Gemara goes into a number of other halachos. The first one is discussing again breaking bread. So Rava Bar Shmuel, the name of Rabbi Chia, says you have to have salt and dips, whatever you need to go with the challah in front of every person. And the Gemara relates that one time he himself went to the house of the Reish Galusa, was in charge of the community, and they gave him bread, and he opened it up and he ate without having salt or dips by every person. So they said, I see you changed your mind from that halacha. You don't have to have. So he said, no, this is special bread, this is fancy bread. It does not require any dips, doesn't require any salt, and that's why I didn't wait for everybody to have. Now the Gemara brings a number of other statements from the same person, Rava Bar Shmuel, the name of Rabbi Chia. He says that a male who is draining his bladder will not do so completely unless he's in a sitting position. Because if he's standing, he'll be afraid that the last drops, which aren't expelled with force, would land on his legs. The only other way that he could drain completely is if he is urinating into soft earth where it won't splash, or off the edge of something at an angle so it won't splash back onto him. Same person also says that it's healthy to eat salt and drink water after your food. If you do that, you will not become ill, and you will not be harmed by that. The Gemara brings a brisa which brings the same idea. After your food, you should eat salt, you should drink water, and you won't have to worry about diseases. Which diseases will he be saved from? The Gemara says it will save him from having bad breath, and it will save him from at night having a disease called askara. Now, askara is described in the Medrash as being a very gruesome disease involving worms and decay and all kinds of things, but Rashi over here says askara is just referring to something which he describes. It sounds like heartburn. He calls it an inflammation that arises in the stomach and comes up to the throat. The Gemara later will indicate that it's related to constipation. Now the Gemara brings a brisa that somebody who floats his food, meaning he drinks a lot of water together with his food, will be saved from indigestion. How much water with your food? Rav Chisda says a standard sized bottle of water to a standard sized loaf of bread. And the Gemara says somebody who eats lentils once in 30 days will be saved from askara. Why? Askara is caused by constipation, and lentils will take care of the constipation. Rabbi Yochanan says somebody who has mustard once in 30 days will also be healthy. That also prevents diseases, but you shouldn't have it every day, because that brings chulsha d'liba, that brings a sickness of the heart, a weakness of the heart. But other than that, it's healthy. Now, Rabbi says you should eat small fish. Small fish prevent indigestion, and it also helps the guf as a whole, the body as a whole, be healthy and be strong. The Gemara now says an interesting thing. There's a thing called ketzach. Ketzach is fennel, or it's possibly translated as some Arabian vegetable. Somebody who eats ketzach will avoid heart problems, will avoid pains in his chest. What is this? Is that true? But Rishon ben Gamliel said ketzach is poisonous. It's one of the 60 most dangerous poisons in the world, and somebody who sleeps eastward, which is downwind of a storage house of ketzach, is responsible for his own blood, because sleeping there he'll inhale the fumes and that will kill him. So Gemara says it's not a kasha. The smell of ketzach is poisonous. The taste of ketzach is healthy. As a matter of fact, Rabbi Yirmiyah's mother used to bake him bread, and she would stick on ketzach so that the flavor would go into it, because then it's healthy. And then she would peel it off so that he wouldn't have to smell it. Okay, now the Gemara goes back to the Mishnah and discusses Rabbi Yehuda's shita. Rabbi Yehuda had held that every single vegetable gets its own bracha, which describes what it is. You have minei d'shaim, you have minei zorim. Gemara asks, where does he get that from? So Rav Zera says, Rav Zera, or possibly Rav Chanina bar Papa says, first of all, Allah is not like Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda's reasoning is as follows. It says, Baruch Hashem yom yom. You should bless Hashem day by day. You're only supposed to bless Hashem during the day, chas v'shalom. At night you should also. So what does it mean? It means day by day you should mention the specifics of the day in the bracha. You should say Shabbos on Shabbos, you should mention Yontif and Yontif. Well, in that same vein, you should also mention what the specific bracha is on. You should clarify that. Okay, now the Gemara quotes another thing from the same person, Reb Zera, possibly Reb Chanina bar Papa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not like people, he says. A person tries to put something into a kli which is full, it doesn't go. It tries to put it into a kli that's empty, it goes. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the opposite. If a person is full with wisdom, then he has room to learn other things, to understand other things. If he's empty, nothing's going to go into his head. How do you know? Like it says, Vayemer im shemoya tishma. If you will be a shemoya, somebody who has listened and knows things, tishma, you'll be able to learn further. If not, so then you won't. More goes another shot here. If you learned and you listened to the former things, the old things, you'll be able to understand the new things. Okay, that takes us to the Mishnah, and the new Mishnah discusses what happened if you said the wrong bracha. So you said the wrong bracha on something, the halacha is as follows. If you said a more general bracha when you should have said a more specific bracha, it works. For example, if you were supposed to say ha'etz and said you said a hadama, that works, you yaitza with that. If, however, you said the opposite, it's no good. What if you said a shahakal? Shahakal is the most general bracha there is. That works on everything. Okay, now the Gemara says, one second, who is it that holds that if you said a hadama on something which is ha'etz, it works? That means that he's assuming that the fruits of a tree really are growing from the ground. So that is Rav Yehuda's shita. How do you see that that's Rav Yehuda? Because there's a machlekes, if somebody brings bikurim, and when he brings it, he's supposed to say a parsha which describes thanking Hashem for the ground which grew the fruits. So what if a person brought fruits of a tree, but by the time he brought it, the tree was gone, and the stream that fed the tree was gone? Is he still allowed to say it because the thing that grew the fruits doesn't exist anymore? Could he still thank Hashem for it? So Rav Yehuda says yes, because its growth is really from the ground. And therefore you could still say it and thank Hashem for the ground. The Chachamim who say no you can't, they would say that you cannot say hadama b'diavad on something which is supposed to be ha'etz either. The Gemara now wants to know, why does the Mishnah need to tell me that if you said a ha'etz on a vegetable, that's no good? For sure, a vegetable doesn't grow from a tree. The Gemara says no. The Chiddush is as follows: the Shittas Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that wheat is called a tree, and the Chiddush is that even according to him, even though wheat is called a tree, you cannot say ha'etz on wheat kernels. You're not yaitz with that. The Gemara says, first of all, where do you say that Rabbi Yehuda holds that? The following thing: there is a machlokes. What was the fruit of the eitz hadas that was eaten, the forbidden fruit that was eaten in Gan Eden? What was it? So we have three opinions over here. The first opinion is Rabbi Meir, who says that it was grapes, because wine messes people up. People are always making mistakes because of wine. The first mistake was also made because of grape and its products. The next opinion is of Nehemiah, who says it was figs. How do you know? Because they later made fig leaves to cover themselves, so the item with which they messed up, that's what they used to fix themselves and to try to deal with the problems that they created. Rabbi Yehuda says it was wheat. How do you know it was sweet? Because it's called Eitz Hadas, the tree of knowledge. When does a child gain enough knowledge to be able to say that, to call his father father and call his mother mother? That's when he starts eating grain. So the chita, the grain, is connected with knowledge, and obviously he therefore holds that chita is called a tree. The Gemara explains why, however, can you not say ha'etz on it even though it's called a tree? Because you can only say ha'etz on a tree that lasts from year to year and grows more fruit on the same branches. Chita does not do that. By the way, also, according to this halacha, we would not say ha'etz on a pineapple or on a banana because it doesn't grow more branches on the same, more fruits on the same branch, and that is actually the halacha. Okay, now the Gemara moves on to the halacha that you say a shahakol on anything. It works, but yeah, the Gemara says, what about grapes or wine? What about wine and bread? Those have a very special, chashuva, fancy bracha. Does shahakol work for them or not? So the Gemara has a machlokes between Rav Huna, who says that it does not work, and Rav Yochanan, who says that it does work. And the Gemara wants to compare this to a Machlokes Tanaim which exists. Machlokes Tanaim is talking about somebody who also says the wrong bracha, but he didn't say the wrong bracha, he made up his own bracha. Instead of saying it the way Chazal designed it, he said, look how beautiful this food is, look how beautiful, thank the one who created it. So Rabbi Meir says that's okay, that bracha works, and Rabbi Yossi says no, you have to say the way Chazal said you're supposed to say it. So the Gemara wants to say, so the one who says that you're supposed to say it the way Chazal said it would also say that shahakol is not going to work on it. The one who says you could say it in your own way would also say that shahakol would work on it for grapes and for bread. The Gemara answers that that's not true. That each Amira would say that both Tanaim can agree with me. Rav Huna, who said that you cannot say shahakol on grapes or on bread, he would say that Rav Meir, who says that if you mention your own bracha and your own words, that's okay, he would agree with me, because at least in the case of mentioning your own bracha, you're saying something about the bread you're about to eat. Okay, you designed your own statement, but at least you're discussing what it is that you're eating. But in this case, where you said shahakol, you're not mentioning what you're eating at all, he would agree with me that you're not yaitza. Rabbi Yochanan says is that even Rabbi Yossi, who says that you're not yaitza, if you make up your own bracha, that's because you don't have a right to make up your own things. You have to say a bracha the way Chazal designed it. But if you say a shahakol, so at least that's a bracha that Chazal designed, he would agree with me that you are yaitza on that bracha. Now the Gemara moves on and says, if you design your own bracha, what's halacha? The Gemara says that Rabbi Binyamin used to eat bread, and he would say, blessed is the master of this bread. And Rav said he's yaitza. The Gemara says, how could Rav say he's yaitza? But I thought Rav holds that you have to mention Shem Hashem, otherwise it's not a bracha at all. The Gemara says, okay, so what he really said was, blessed is Hashem who made this bread. So the Gemara says it still doesn't make sense. The after bracha on bread is Brachos Hamazon. You have to say all three brachos. The Gemara says, yeah, he's not yaitza Brachos Hamazon. He's yaitza the first bracha of Brachos Hamazon, even though it's in his own words. The Gemara says, okay, so what's a chiddush on that? The chiddush is that he said it in a different language. And it says elsewhere that if you say Brachos Hamazon in a different language, that's also okay, right? Because we've seen that you're allowed to say the parsha of Saita, Vidor Meisers, Kriya Shema, Shemon Esrei, and Brachos Hamazon in a different language, and you are yaitza. The Gemara now wants to know, so then if it already says that, why do you need to say it here? The Gemara says, because I would have thought you could say it in your own words, in your own language, as a direct translation of Chazal's words, but you can't make up your own words. Here he made up his own words, and it was in a different language, and the chiddush still is that you are yaitza for that. Now the Gemara goes back. We said that you have to mention Hashem's name in a bracha or it doesn't count. That's Rav's opinion. Rabbi Yochanan says you have to mention Malchus. You have to say Melech HaElam. Otherwise it doesn't count. And the Gemara says, well, we have a brisa that proves like Rav. It says, which we translate to mean, I did not violate your mitzvah, I brought bikurim, and I did not forget to mention your name in the bracha. That's what the brisa says. Clearly, like Rav, you have to say the name. So Rabbi Yochanan says, no, mention your name means mention your name with Malchus, saying that your name and that you are Melech HaElam, the king of the universe. Now we get to the next Mishnah. The Mishnah discusses what foods are shahakol. So the Gemara says as follows: the rule is anything which doesn't grow from the ground is a shahakol. There's an important phrase here: ein gedulim min haaretz, doesn't grow from the ground, it's a shahakol. The Mishnah gives 3 examples: vinegar, noivlois, something which the Gemara will define, noivlois, and locusts. Now, Rabbi Yehuda says I don't agree. Things which are bad, which cause damage or are the result of a damage, you don't say a bracha on that at all. Not a shahakol, not anything else. which things here are causing a damage. So the simple pshat seems to be that vinegar is when your wine spoils, locusts eat up all the food, so that's not good, and noivlos, we don't know what that is yet. Okay, now the Mishnah goes on to another halacha. What if you have a number of foods in front of you? Which one do you say the bracha on? So Rabbi Yehuda says you say the bracha on the one that's from the Shivas Haminim, and the Chachamim say you say the bracha on the one which you most prefer. The Gemara at this point will seem to assume that referring to all the foods are the same bracha, and the Gemara will discuss that on tomorrow's daf. Okay, now the Brisa expands on this Mishnah, and it says as follows: you say a shachal on anything which doesn't grow from the ground. Examples are meat of farm animals, meat of wild animals, meat of birds, meat of fish, milk, eggs, cheese, bread which became moldy, wine which developed a film over the top, that means that it spoiled, a cooked dish which spoiled, salt water, and mushrooms and other fungi. You say a shahakal on all those things. Mushrooms and fungi? The Gemara says, why should you say a bracha on, why should you say a shahakal on mushrooms and fungi? They grow from the ground. I'll prove to you that they grow from the ground. If a brisa that discusses what if somebody says, I promise, I make a neder, I'm not going to have enough from any fruits of the ground. So then he's not allowed to eat any vegetables, but mushrooms and fungi he's allowed to eat. Those aren't fruits of the ground. But if he says, I'm not going to have enough from anything which grows from the ground, so then mushrooms and fungi is not allowed to eat, because those are called things which grow from the ground. So if they grow from the ground, it shouldn't be a shahakal. So Gemara answers, they grow from the ground, but they are not fed from the ground. Their nutrition doesn't come from the ground. Their nutrition comes from the air. They grow from the ground, they grow from the moisture which is in the ground, but their actual nutrition is not ground-based, it's air-based, and the proof of that is that it could also grow from other things. It could grow on glass, it could grow on metal, it could grow on all kinds of other non-permeable surfaces. Gemara says, it's a very nice pshat, but you're admitting that they grow from the ground, right? The phrase grow from the ground applies to them. Our Mishnah said the shakal is on anything which does not grow from the ground. So you can't say a shakal on it. So the Gemara answers, well, you have to adjust the Mishnah a little bit. It's not that you say a shakal on anything which does not grow from the ground. You say a shakal on anything which is not nourished from the ground. Okay, now the Gemara wants to know what noivlois are. Noivlois, we said, are a shahakal. What are they? So the Gemara brings machlekes Rabbi Zir and Rabbi Lah if they are dates that are wind-blown, blown off the tree, or dates that are sunburnt. So the Gemara is going to try to prove one of the two opinions with two attempts. Attempt number one is Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said, no, you don't say a bracha at all on anything which is caused by a damage. And Gemara said, if all it is that they were blown off the tree, that's not damaged. So what's Rabbi Yehuda's problem with it? So Gemara answers, okay, maybe I'll tell you really Rabbi Yehuda wasn't talking about noivlois. Noivlois, he agrees he could say a shahakal on. But other items in the Mishnah are caused by a damage, locust and spoiled wine, and that you can't say a shahakal. The Gemara says, but hold on a second. But if it just blown off the tree, why say shahakal? Say ha'etz. It's perfectly fine dates. The Gemara accepts this, and the Gemara says, no. Okay, so you're right. This machlokes about whether it's the dates that blew off the tree or sunburned is not talking about this Mishnah. This Mishnah is clearly talking about sunburned, ruined, and the damaged fruits. There's the machlokes is actually in a different case. It's in a case of somebody who finds fruit and it's demai. The halacha is that if you get fruits of unknown origin and you're not sure whether the meiser was taken from them or not, you have to take meiser just in case it wasn't. That's called demai. The Mishnah over there lists that there's a number of cases where you don't have to take meiser misafik. You're allowed to eat it even without knowing that meiser was taken. And the list are as follows: kalin shebedemai. The lenient things of demai are as follows: shisin, rimin, uzerdin, benai shach, benai shikma, gufnin, nitzba, and something called noivlois timara. Slightly different term, noivlois timara. What are these things? So shisin, Bar Chana says, is a type of figs. Rimin is lotus fruit. Uzerdin is a type of apple. Benai shuach is white figs. Benai shikma is something called duvli. And gufnin, what's that? That is grapes from the end of the season. It's already into the fall. And nitzba is the flowers of the caperberry plant. And then noivlois tamara. What's that? That's our shaila. That's our issue. That's the machlekes of Ilan of Zera, whether it's wind-blown dates or it's dates that were burnt by the sun. Now the Gemara will again have two challenges to this understanding. The Gemara says, if it's wind-blown dates, so then how come it's only demai, only suffik if there was meiser taken or not, that you don't have to take meiser from it? If it's wind-blown, then it's hefker, and the halacha is that hefker doesn't need meiser. So even if it's definitely not meiser, you shouldn't have to take meiser from it. So Gemara says, no, that I can answer. It's talking about where you took the dates and you made them into a heap in a granary, then it becomes chayv and meiser then. That's the moment at which the chayv meiser hits. So even if you got it from hefker, it's chayv meiser then, unless it was the mai, and meiser may have been taken off already. Now the Gemara says, okay, I'll accept that, but I have another problem over here. You told me that in our Mishnah where it says noivleis, everybody agrees that that's referring to sunburn dates. And here where it says noivleis tomorrow, it's a machlekes. If it's also talking about sunburn dates, why are the different words? It should be called the same thing. They're all called sunburned, so it should be the same term. It must be that this proves that they're two different things, and that's why they have two different names. And the one in our Mishnah is sunburn dates, and this is talking about windblown dates. Nor says kasha. It's a kasha on the one who says the other way. We accept that.